Hey everybody, I get a ton of inquiries about down dog and shoulder pain. So today I'm gonna go over 4 ways you can adjust this pose to work for you so that you can feel confident and pain-free when you practice. I'm Janine from Win With Yoga, fitness and flexibility expert for women over 50. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, we'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button and the bell so you'll be notified anytime we post one of our awesome videos. All right, so let's get started. I'm gonna begin with the alignment principles or how to get your form right in downward facing dog, because in my over 20 years experience of teaching people, when we get the form and the technique right, for 90% of you, it's gonna take care of the issue. For you guys who do have an injury or a limitation in your shoulders, I'm also gonna go over 3 other ways that you can modify it so you too can work with downward facing dog. All right, so let's start with the alignment. So even though I know the discomfort is happening at the shoulders, it's really gonna be all about the hands and the arms. So here are the 3 principles you wanna remember. Root the palms, straighten the arms, and I'm going to show you how to feel like your hands are pulling towards one another lightly. And when we get those 3 things down, the shoulder alignment will fall right into place. So let's start with the hands. When we're talking about rooting our hands in downward facing dog, so you can see my whole palm, what generally happens, the biggest common pitfall, is that the weight settles in this pinky finger side of the hand and then into the heel of the hand. So when the hand's on the floor, it looks something like this. You can see that my hand is cupped up here. And as you look up my arm, you can see that the elbow starts to bend and go out. And what happens is the whole arm starts to roll in. We don't want it to do that. But watch what happens when I go from a cupped hand to rooting through the index finger and thumb as well. So it's this area, and you can even just do what I'm doing and touch that area so you have a sense of what that feels like to have something touching it. Push that down and you'll see I go from bent and out. Now I'm gonna push that down and you can see it already changes how my whole arm alignment goes. So now I'm rooting fingers underneath the knuckles and then in through the thumb. This part, you don't need to worry about making that flat in the center where the hollow is. We want the hollow there. And I know some people teach to grip the fingers. If you find that helps you and it feels better in the wrist, that's great. For those of you who do have issues with your wrist in downward facing dog, I do cover that in a wrist pain video, and I will throw that link into the description. Okay, so here we go. So we've got our cupping down, we've got our index and middle finger rooted. Now we can see that we're starting to get a straighter line here. Now we straighten the arms. Now once we do that right there, you're gonna see the difference. And I'm gonna come up into downward facing dog so you can see it. So I'm gonna cup, I go up, the weight's sitting into the heel of my hand. You can see my elbows are bent. And as I go up, you can see that there's right here, see how there's not very much space there? It gets kind of crunchy and pinchy. Now I'm gonna push the index finger down, start to straighten my arms, and you see how this space opens up. You might notice how my shoulder blades rotate a little bit and make that area wider. And that is exactly what you want to do so you don't get the pinchiness up in the shoulders. A lot of times that's the issue. So we start to make space. So we've rooted, now we've straightened the arms, and the last cue is feel like your hands are lightly pulling towards one another. Now, when you do that, it's going to contract the pectoral muscles, which are on the front of our body, so that the back, the muscles around the back and between the shoulder blades are going to widen. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we first root. Now we straighten our arms. Now we start to go up. And now I'm gonna feel like and you can see this movement in my elbows. I'm not pulling, now watch my elbows. I'm gonna start to pull my hands towards one another. Did you see how they started to rotate? The in part crease of my elbow rotates a little. That rotates the whole upper arm. And then you can see that space between my shoulder blades starts to widen there. And I'll show you once more. There's the sitting into the heel of the hand and the pinky finger. Look at my arms, they're bent. Root the index finger, thumb, straighten the arms, pull the hands towards one another lightly. Boom, there you go on your shoulder alignment. Okay, that's That's the technique behind it. Now from there, if that still bothers you, you can turn those hands out slightly. So not to the sides, I do see this quite a bit, just a little bit rotated out, and you can let the arms widen a little wider than your shoulders. So I didn't say that at the beginning. Sometimes folks, you're working with the hands too close together. So shoulder distance can be here. You can even take them out a little bit wider than that. So kind of play with what works best for your body. It's not going to be wrong. You're going to work with what you need. And then you could turn the hands out a little bit. But you still want to follow all those principles I just went over in the alignment part. So root, I'm turned out a little bit, straighten the arms, and then move yourself up into downward facing dog. And that's the same thing. I can feel like, there I am, I'm pulling my hands towards one another as if I were gonna slide them together, okay? Now I just wanna show you that from the side so you can see what's happening here. And what we are looking for here is a straight line from my wrist to my shoulder and then up to my hip. So as you pull those hands together, you can also push the floor away from you, or press your hands into the floor, and you'll feel like you push up a little bit. So you're not sitting down here into the shoulders and into the waist. We push and reach with the hips. And notice that my knees are bent and my heels are not on the floor. This is okay. I don't think I can say this like enough times. Your heels do not need to be on the floor in downward facing dog. It's better to get the spine nice and straight and long and keep that tailbone reaching up so you're hinging at the hips, then starting to straighten the legs and round. And again, this will a lot of times bring that compression. Right now, my ear is touching my shoulder. So when we do these other principles, it's fine to keep those knees bent so you can get from the hands up to the tailbone in alignment. And then you can always work on that opening, which is probably the calves. They have the hamstrings that are limiting you in starting to straighten those legs, or possibly the hips. So, but to get the upper body and to get that shoulder alignment, you can go ahead and leave those knees bent and push up towards the hips so you're pulling the weight up off of the hands. All right. So we've got that, we've got turn them out and widen them, and now the next one is stack the shoulders. So if this shoulder flexion, this is shoulder flexion, if you can't get them way up there and it has to be forwards, fine. We call this the stack. Instead of pushing back in downward dog, bring it forward and let the shoulders come forward almost over the wrists. And you can work the same way. I root the index middle finger, I straighten the arms, I pull my hands towards one another, and then as your body allows, you'll be able to move that into a little bit more flexion of the shoulders and get that straighter line. But it's fine to work the position here with the same alignment. And then the last one is, if that doesn't work for you, especially if you're newer, if it bothers your wrist, if you need less load on your upper body, because this is a lot of load on the upper body, and I'm going to do another video that goes over the exercises that you can do to start to build the amount of strength you need to keep those arms overhead, right? So the next thing is raise the hands up. You could do it on yoga blocks. Same principles, I'm rooting, I'm straightening, and I'm feeling like my hands will pull together. I could do it with a chair or a countertop or a bed or a bench. Okay, so just bringing the hands up. Now, I would not recommend what I'm doing with wheels on here and I want a flat surface, but this is the chair I have so I can demonstrate for you. Hands, same alignment, palms root, arms straighten, feel like you're pulling the hands towards one another, and you can practice it here, okay? So, and in this way, you can even move a little bit back and forth so that you can raise it up and then open them. For those of you guys who are really tight in the shoulders or are working from an injury, so that's a way to take some load off the upper body, but still work the alignment. And I should also say while we're talking about that is you can always do child's pose. Child's pose is the exact same alignment. So here, same thing. If you want to practice and get that sensation without having a ton of weight dumping into the arms, which is going to make everything that much more challenging, Do your alignment. Root the hands, straighten the arms. Feel like the hands are pulling towards one another. And there you go. You can practice it in child's pose. You can practice that hands pushing down and pulling together in tabletop, in plank. All of those will also help you start to build awareness and strength in the shoulders as well. Okay, so there you go. So to summarize, number one is get your alignment and form in place. That might take care of it for you. Number two, you can turn the hands out and widen the arms. 3, stack. Shoulders come forward. They don't have to go back so far. I know this will help folks who get real pinchy or have some impingement in the shoulders. That one tends to work. And the last one is to raise the hands up onto yoga blocks, onto a countertop, onto a bed, onto a chair. And then over time, you can bring them back down as you get stronger and more confident in the position. All right, I hope this was helpful. Let me know, hit me up in the comments. I love to know how these things work for you. If you have anything else you want me to go over, you can throw that in there as well. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, we would love it if you subscribe. It really helps our channel to be, to thrive and to help us to get moved forward there on YouTube, which we all need, all of us on there. And if you want more yoga where you get options like this, and it is designed for women over 50. Go over and check out my website at winwithyoga.co/programs. You can see I have 3 featured programs in there. You can also grab yourself a free 10-minute class on there, a fitness and flexibility class. And you can also grab that class at fitandflexibleforlife.com/class. I will leave all of those links down there in the description. And I will be back here real soon with another video for you so that you can strengthen the shoulders and it'll help prepare you for downward facing dog and holding that in duration. And I will see you back here real soon. Check out these guys if you want to put your down dog into play.